I'm Julie Mills and I'm the Chair of Women Leaders.
Hi, I'm Debbie Lewis. I'm the Regional Ecosystem Manager at NatWest in the Enterprise team covering the East Midlands and East of England.
Hello, I'm Gail Emms, and in former life I used to be an Olympic badminton player. I won Olympic silver medal in Athens 2004. I'm also a world, European and Commonwealth champion in the sport.
Wow. Ruby Parmar, I do several things. I've got several hats. I do a lot of non-exec work for corporates, but my biggest role at the moment is Chair of Milton Keynes College.
Hello everyone, I'm Precious Zumbica Lwanga. I'm the founder of Caris Advisory Services, which is a construction advisory business. I too wear many hats. I'm the chair of Milton Keynes Ethnic Business Community, and I sit on a number of boards as well.
Amazing, and thank you all so much for joining us. We've been having some incredible conversations for the Inspirational Mk podcast, and today we're going to be setting the scene to talk about authenticity, overcoming stereotypes, living your best life, being the real you, and we would love to hear some of your stories. But first of all, before we do, I'd like to find out from you why you think you've been invited to this particular session today. So tell us a little bit about your background with regards to authenticity, overcoming stereotypes, or anything that you think is relevant. And I'm going to go first to Ruby.
Okay. I think authenticity is extremely relevant, because if you're not your authentic true self, actually it means you're not living your core values. That's really, really important. And one of the things that I have noticed over the years in the corporate world is when people try to be what others want them to be and are not their authentic selves, they end up with lots and lots of issues around mental health, physical health, because actually there's a battle going on between who you are and who you think people want you to be. So it's really, really important. And I think for women especially, in male-dominated professions, where they feel that they've got to behave a little bit like a man, it really does hold them back.
I think it's a follow-on, to be honest. I think for me it's overcoming stereotypes. So I'm a woman in construction. Not a lot of people know that, but I've worked in the construction industry for 22 years and worn so many hats. Started off as a chartered quantity surveyor, that's who I am as a profession, and moved into commercial, worked on site to start off with. But it's just overcoming those stereotypes. The industry in itself is suffering from skill shortages. Worse off, there's only about 10% of the industry is women. So for me, overcoming stereotypes and actually being, I suppose, a role model and being somebody that represents the industry as a female is really important. And changing mindsets, I think, of other women, parents specifically, so we cannot have that view that a woman or a woman in construction is an absurdity, but actually it's a reality, because I am a reality of a woman in construction. So that's
passionate about
Absolutely.
the cause. I love
Absolutely.
that. Gail?
Yeah, I think again I'm a follow on as well, which is great. You know, I played sport. Sport is a man's world. You know, it's all about the boys. The boys are stronger, physically faster. You know, that's what, you know. And you're a girl trying to, you know, compete with boys, and they don't like it, and it's really hard. You're fighting constantly to try and get that approval that I should be here. Yes, I'm not as fast as you, I'm not as strong as you, but I can still play my sport to the best of my ability, and I'm one of the best girls. So yeah, there's always that kind of, I'm here, you know, please notice me, please give me that opportunity. So yeah, I think looking back at my sporting career, you know, great that I had these opportunities, but when you start looking at how you were treated, or, you know, the little sort of, you know, man up, you know, that was told at me all the time. Don't be a girl. You know, if the girl was crying, if I had a bad day and I was crying, or I was hormonal, you know, oh God, girl, you know, like, come on, you got to be like that. You got to toughen up if you want to play with the boys. You know, I played mixed doubles, so yeah, I had to try and fight that constantly. So it's only now looking back, you think, I'm so glad I went through that experience, because now we can talk about it and we can help educate and help mentor girls in similar situations when we were younger. So that's why hopefully that we have these conversations, go, right, let's not have that again, let's learn from it, let's grow from it, let's be role models, let's mentor these girls, so we can just, and also educate the guys and go, you know what, do you know how that was? You know how that made me feel? You know what, let's not do that anymore. And yeah, because most of the time they don't realise they're doing it, the guys in that situation. So yeah, hopefully they can talk more about the lovely world of sport.
Oh, amazing, thank you. And Julie, what about education?
It's fascinating actually reflecting back and hearing everybody else's comments. My career was unusual in some ways in that I joined an institution, Milton Keynes College, in 1990 as a finance lecturer, and I retired from Milton Keynes College 32 years later as the chief exec of a, by then, huge group of colleges and prisons and all sorts of other things. And I genuinely feel that the person that walked up the drive here to have an interview back in 1990 was the person who retired 32 years later.
Wow.
And a number of colleagues will have worked with me through that time, and I think always saw me as me. But what became very evident as my career developed was that people who don't know you and don't know that you are, that's who you are, and those are your values, and that's how you behave, make so many assumptions about you in terms of you in that leadership position. And you know, and there is no automatic trust between you and everybody else in the way that there is with your colleagues who know you and know that you're being authentic. And that was a really important lesson to learn, I think, in that more senior leadership role. You can't take the trust for granted. You've got to build every relationship with everybody from an authentic place and build that trust.
And Ruby, what about you in terms of your journey to becoming a leader? What has that been like? What challenges did you face?
Well, I think it was probably slightly different and possibly slightly easier, because I'll never forget when you talk about stereotypes that my father actually saying to me, I have a brother and I have a sister, so there's three of us, you know, saying that it doesn't matter that you're a girl, you are equal. And because in Indian culture, actually, the boys get all the glory and the girls, you know. But he was very, very open and wanted us to know that, you know, we were exactly the same, we'd be treated exactly the same.
Yes.
So I guess in terms of that stereotype thing, I don't think I ever really felt that, oh, because I'm a woman, I can only do this, or because I'm a woman, I can only do that. But I do think when you do start to fit into stereotypes, or you think, then, you know, women naturally go for the jobs that they think are for women. They feel less confident in jobs that are male-dominated because they've been conditioned to think that actually that's the role of a man or that's the role of a woman. On the point of, you know, your authentic self, again, I think, a bit like Julie, I've always been quite true to myself. I've always been quite outspoken about situations. But one thing I did learn, and I think this is it's not compromising your core values, but there are situations when you have to behave differently. You know, if you have a boss who you have to get past him to get to the next level, you have to perhaps change your style, change the way that you interact, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're losing your core values. You will know when that's starting to happen because you will feel it. But I think there are times when women do have to do things slightly differently if they want to get past. You know, if we were working in all female environments, I can't say actually that is always best, but you know, maybe not. But when you do have males that you need to influence, and you need them to see what you're good at, what you can do, then you have to adjust maybe your style rather than your authenticity about the individual that you are. So I think, you know, I was the first Asian female partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers, you know. I was told that, they put out something on the internet about that, but to me it was, well, I'm just a partner. Why is there a big deal that I'm a woman, and why is there a big deal that I'm Asian? But you know, actually then you start to think about the point about role models. You know, gosh, I have got there. I should now be supporting and helping other women, because there may be women who are less confident than me, more able than me, but just in terms of boosting their confidence, you know, you have to give them positive messages. And maybe not just once, like, oh, that was a great job, you know. maybe you have to do it more than once, and maybe you have to keep doing it to make them feel that they're confident and they can achieve just as much, because they have ability. It's just their own blockers in terms of, you know, developing their own potential.
And I know that you'll have something to add as well when we're talking about familial influence. Certainly for me, it was all my mum aspired for me to have was to be married with kids. There was no, you know, so for mum, she feels really disappointed that actually I focused on my career. That was quite different for you.
Yeah, very different. I mean, for those who don't know, my mum was one of the first lionesses. So my mum played women's football. Well, she played football. She grew up in North London. She was born in 1951, but there was a ban on women playing football. Women were not allowed to play on FA pitches.
Wow.
So the women were banned after the First World War because the FA didn't like, basically the women were attracting crowds and they didn't like it. So they put a ban on. So my mum just grew up, she's, you know, I hate the word tomboy, you know, which is just a sporty girl. She loved playing football, but there was obviously nowhere for her to play. And eventually there was these pockets and these people, we talk about men champion women, and I think that will probably come out a lot in the podcast as well. There were some men there that were supporting girls playing football, and there was a guy called Harry Batt who in Luton formed a women's team. My mum joined it, and she said, and I, you know, I've spoken to her a lot about it, and she said it was the first time I finally felt home. Like there's a place for me, a place for like sort of other girls playing football, because they were told that it was unsuitable for women's bodies, that football was unsuitable. And you look back and you think, are you kidding me? But why is it suitable for a man's body? Well, oh no, it would affect their childbearing apparently. That's what they had medical experts say. So my mum, in the end, you know, the FA was still anti-women playing football. And then 1971, there was a first ever Women's World Cup in Mexico City. And my mum formed this maverick team that went out there to showcase, represent England, to go out there. So my mum played in front of 90,000 people, which is the highest ever for England's women's team. And when the team arrived back, the FA banned them all for 6 months because they defied them. And a lot of the women were so mortified because all they were doing was playing football. They didn't do anything wrong. They played football. That most gave up. And my mum never taught me any football. She is still better than me. She's 72 and she still can do loads of keepy ups. I can't. I can do about 5. But what the reason why she didn't teach me football was she said there was still nowhere for you to go. There was still that resistance. There was still that stereotype. There was still that girls shouldn't be playing football. It's for boys. You know, dancing, ballets for girls. You know, all those, all the society stereotypes we have. So she goes, there was no point teaching you. But what she did teach me was that resilience. And, you know, she, in her own, I joke about it, psycho-competitive way, she found another sport for me, and it was badminton. And do you know what this is her teaching method, by the way. She thrashed me every single time on that court. Like, she beat me 11-0 over and over and over and over again. But there's, you know, talk about resilience. I have the resilience. So if you lose your mother for 5 years, over and over and over again, it builds resilience. But eventually I beat her. But it was, you know, that's what it is. It's about recognising, your dad recognised something inside of you. He knew you had a strong, like, personality. He knew that, and that's why he said that. Yeah. And again, your dad, he recognised something inside of you to nurture that personality, to come, I'm here for you, try this, try that. You know, if you were just like a little bit unsure. And this is it. My mum recognised this fire inside of me, and she knew that if I got my mind into something, that's it, we're going to do it. So yes, I'm all for men champion women. You know, when women shout on their own, suddenly we get ignored, or those questions get, oh God, okay, do we have, you know, loads of those, you know, 6, 7, 8 questions. When men champion women, suddenly things get done. Suddenly it's that fast track. It's like, oh, you know what, that guy's just championing that. Oh, okay, well then we'll do it. So that's what we need. We need the guys to shout about the women. We need to get the importance of women, the importance of supporting them.
And you must see this, Debbie. There's something about growth as well, isn't there? When an organisation could have a very positive culture, everyone is on board, everyone is committed to the values and the purpose and everything else, and it grows and it grows and it grows, and all of a sudden that cord's
can
gone.
Implode. Yeah, absolutely. We work with thousands of businesses across the accelerator, and those who expand too quickly, or solopreneurs who, and I've been here. I was self-employed for 17 years. Only child and a control freak. I was no good at letting go. I know, no, shock horror. And as your business grows, you've got to put those systems and processes in. And actually, culture's the first thing that takes a hit. If you can't recruit and you are busy and the demand is there, you sometimes take who you need, not who you should have. And I've seen that over and over again through the accelerator. You're quite right. And yeah, they pay the price sometimes.
So it's interesting. It's not easy, is it? It's not easy to create that culture and to challenge some of those things that we've all experienced that have got in the way of being your authentic, most talented, most wonderful self in the workplace, or indeed in your life. So what would be the kind of top tip you would give anybody, to kind of challenge that, to make the best success of their life? What would be the one thing, knowing what you know now and having experienced what you've experienced, that you would say is kind of a must do?
I think I'm going to, we're lucky. I feel privileged that we've had these authentic moments. We've been able to learn. So I think anyone who's struggling now, if it was your best friend or it was your daughter who was in that position, what would you tell what would you tell them, her? And what advice would you give? Because if you practice what you preach, basically. Because if you're telling your best friend, don't stand for this isn't right, whatever. If you do want your daughter to be in a situation, or or future daughter or whatever, what would you say to her? Would you allow her to be in that situation? Then if it's not right, if you do not feel right for your best mate, mum, if someone's so close to you, or your daughter, then it's not right for you. Then do something about it. And I think we as women naturally just go, well, it's just easier if I just get it done, and exactly that. If you're telling your best mate or someone you love dearly, or your daughter, then it's not right.
Kind of take your own advice, kind of thing.
Practice
really,
what you
isn't
preach.
it?
I am terrible for it, so I don't, and I'm saying it now, and I don't practice what I preach. So I'll just typical. I'm my own little.
Take that clip.
I will take that,
it.
replay it over and over again, loop it over in my headphones. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I would. There's so much available. There's so much information available on the internet. That actually, if you want to learn a little bit about yourself, there's loads of stuff you can do. You can do some psychometric tests. You can and just position yourself. But actually, because not everybody, we talked about, wouldn't it be great if everybody could have a mentor, everybody could have a mentor that really worked for them, but it doesn't always happen like that. But I think, women should also take a little bit of responsibility to understand who they are, and
Other than all the
what they
roles
need.
and responsibilities, who they really,
They really are. And we've all got weaknesses and we've all got strengths, and I think it's just recognising those and playing to your strengths and not always being like, well, I can't do that job because I've got this one weakness, but these 20, playing to your strengths. And I think there's lots of great stuff written about, women in the workplace, how women can, overcome, and it's usually a confidence challenge, that little voice in your head. So I think a bit of self-help, women should really should take that on and then seek out others that they think they might be able to gain some experience from, some knowledge from, some help from.
So women asking for help. You
Yeah.
what? Sorry, and you just said that. Whoa.
Say it one more time for the people in the back.
Right. That's what we preach, and women asking for help. Oh my God, I'm like, it's too much for me today.
Well, I'm not. I guess I'm not practicing what I'm doing because I never ask for help. But I wish there were moments in my life when I wish I had.
Yeah.
But actually, we shouldn't be afraid of asking for that help. So.
We're all going to have some homework.
Yes, we are. So for me, I suppose the advice I'd give anybody is finding your voice, keeping your voice, and amplifying your voice on the right platforms, right? Because I think finding your voice for anybody, and I'm speaking with my construction hat on, it can easily get lost, but finding it is a beautiful thing, right? And allowing people to help you to find it, and being curious as well. Constantly curious, because in curiosity comes knowledge, and knowledge comes confidence, and confidence comes finding your voice and then keeping it. So that's what I would say to anybody.
Amazing. And actually what I would add, it really feeds off of what you've all said, but if you don't like where you are, you're not a tree. Move.
Right.
And I think it's about surrounding yourselves with We talk about finding your tribe. Find people who make you feel the best
Yeah.
version of yourself.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, I know you talked about early years in construction, maybe your sector, your employer, maybe the community is not there yet. And if you want to be that trailblazer, reach out to people outside of that sector and community and get the support you need to be resilient to create it. But if you are not that person, find somewhere else where you live your best life, because you don't have to fight that every day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, everything you said. And I would amplify that in terms of connections. You're not alone.
You're not
Yeah.
alone.
And you're not the only person feeling what you're feeling, and make connections and be generous in connecting other people with each
Yes.
other and build those communities of kind of support and,
Yeah.
and talent, I think, would be my top tip.
And you're great at that.
I know.
Thank you.
Pass the
We are all
baton.
great.
Pass the baton.
No, thank you all so much. I mean, what a fantastic conversation, Debbie. It's just, it's been such a privilege for us, hasn't it? In
It
terms
really
of,
has.
meeting with people, and I've really, really been inspired by everything you've shared today.
Thank you.
And we need to have more of these conversations.
Yes.
We do.
So for anybody that's listening, watching, for us on the sofas, let's not let this be the last time we speak of it. Pass the baton, and let's have more conversations to inspire more women and underrepresented voices, and also to bring male allies into the conversation. Let's be bolder about what we need to ask of them as
Yes.
well. But thank you all so much for your time
Thank you.
for the podcast today.
Thank you.